Wonka, one of the newest movies released this week. Well, technically last week, came out December 15th, but I saw it this weekend. And also, it's the newest addition to the Willy Wonka franchise and basically tells the story of a young Willy Wonka before he became known as the genius chocolatier that we all know him as from the 1971 movie with Gene Wilder. This prequel, precise, because the reason why I put air quotes around prequel is because this story actually has been tweaked a little bit here and there. The biggest thing that I noticed was, of course, that when Willy Wonka gets scammed out of everything he owns and then basically has to work off a bunch of debt that he's accumulated, just like a bunch of other people in the story. And I've always known Willy Wonka just to be, your ordinary Candyman, just opening up his own shop, eventually bringing up to the empire he has. So that kind of new twist kind of threw me for a loop there. I mean, when I saw that scene of Willy Wonka signing that contract, and I was like, part of me felt bad for him, but the other side of me, when I saw the outcome, I was like, that's why you always read the fine print. You never sign a contract without reading it. Come on. I mean, there's always a catch in these kind of contracts. I mean, there's always a catch in a way you're going to get screwed somehow. That's why you always read the contract, or if you don't understand the contract, get a lawyer, have them read the contract. They'll tell you what's what in your own language. I mean, that should be pretty common. A lot of common sense right there. Timothee Chalamet is the one playing our main character in this movie, though I was looking forward this year to seeing him play his other main character from Dune, but until it got pushed back. He plays a great Willy Wonka, though. I mean, he's free-spirited, charismatic, optimistic, which is what I've always believed Willy Wonka to be. And also, you can kind of see how he became, through this movie and with the story and what happens, you can see how he actually became the hermit that he was in the first movie. But, I mean, like I said before, there are tweaks here and there. So, I mean, although it's not directly similar, or like not a direct line to the original movie, there are still plenty enough similarities to say that this is a prequel, such as seeing Hugh Grant playing Oompa Loompa. I got a big laugh out of that. So I mean, even though it's not perfectly connected, it's still connected enough to say that, oh yes, this is definitely a prequel to that movie. They pulled a lot of original songs from the original movie too, and added them to the mix, along with adding their own original songs specifically for this movie. And it was fine. I mean, as long as you don't stray too far from it, that's fine. But also, I liked that these songs and story also gave it its own original style, which I'm cool with. As long as we don't pull away too far from the original source, then we're cool to give it its own style. That actually brings me to something I want to say about the Tim Burton movie, because I mean, the one thing I didn't like about the Tim Burton Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was that it was too dark toned. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Tim Burton's gothic style. I always will. I mean, his unique style is always something that I loved. But I mean, with them making Willy Wonka into a more darker character, like he was in that movie, I mean, it just seemed like this isn't Willy Wonka, in my opinion. Willy Wonka has always been a light shine, a guy who brings a smile to everybody's face. I don't see Willy Wonka being dark. I mean, his whole purpose is through his chocolate and his other candy to bring joy to kids. Speaking of Willy Wonka bringing joy to kids, that's actually what the main demographic here for this movie is. It's definitely its main focus to hit is kids in the audience. Though, yes, it will appeal to a lot of families. But, I mean, when it comes to what I saw, definitely kids are the main focus. Because, I mean, the jokes in the movie, let's just say they're cute and silly, but they're mainly going to just get a grin out of adults. That's all they got out of me. But the kids will definitely laugh. I will say that much. The thing that adults are most likely would definitely find more entertaining is the story behind of what Willy Wonka has to go through to finally get his business going, then up to the point where he has his big factory, because he's basically going after people who want to discredit him from from like the very start. I mean, these big bad businessmen who are basically in control of the whole sweets world, chocolate, candy, anything sweets that bring joy to the kids. So, I mean, it's actually nice and awesome to see a man like Willy Wonka, optimistic, charismatic, who is into making candy for the joy and love of it and bringing smiles to kids, go up against these evil businessmen. Yes, I'm technically calling them evil because all they're seeking after in this business is the money and to making sure that people stay in debt so that they can stay in control. So that story in itself makes you want to say, we're glad Willy Wonka is in control of the sweets world. The only bad thing I have to say about this movie, really, well, actually there's another thing, but let me get to this thing first, and that is the CGI and the use of green screen. Both were not only overused, but highly noticeable. I mean, come on. It's Willy Wonka, of course. I mean, we know he's not just known for being a genius chocolate maker. He's also known for being kind of a magician in his own way, because his candy makes you do some pretty crazy stuff. I mean, so of course they had to make when people are eating his candy look all magical and fantastic. But they used it so much, it made it look too cartoony. And that's one bad thing I had to say about it. And the other thing is basically that Timothee Chalamet basically carried this whole film, and pretty much everybody else was sitting on the sidelines. Whenever he was on screen, that's when the interesting stuff was happening. When he wasn't on screen, that's when it was basically, oh, we're getting the sideline characters now. As far as the acts go, first two acts were great, magical, fantastic, reminiscent of a Willy Wonka movie. Although the third act was kind of got off track. Got off track in a way. It didn't really follow the momentum of the first two acts. So, I mean, that was a small disappointment. But overall, giving Wonka here a B. I mean, even though the other acts, the final act didn't follow very well, overall, I liked it. I think it was a good movie. Some tweaks here and there, but overall, solid. Okay, well, that just about wraps up this movie review. If you guys have seen Wonka, please comment here down below what your thoughts were on it. Also, if you like my other videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you guys next time, and remember to stay epic.